Today I want to share with you guys how can you practice a little bit of your French when you're traveling in France. And of course, these tips also apply to other languages as well. One thing that I think is very helpful is that try to actively listen to what people around you are talking. I mean, like strangers around you are talking when you're on the streets, like walking or taking the metro, like everything. I think it's such a great way to practice your listening. Just try not to listen to your music all the time, though I have to admit I love as well. But when you pay more attention on what people are talking around you, you realize you learn a lot of words that people use more like during their daily life. A lot of time I just intentionally go to streets that are more crowded with people so that I can listen to more people talking in French, like their conversations. So I just like walk by and just like secretly like listen to what they're talking, and you can always pick up words and sentences that they just often use in their daily life. And sometimes I'm not just like listen to really what they say, what sentences they use or what words they use, not necessarily. I try to listen to way of speaking and like the rhythm and so on. Oh, today the weather is really good. I think since you're already in this country, what is a better way of trying to just listen to how people talk here, what they say, how they say it, their way of speaking and their rhythm, so on. It's such a great opportunity to do that. One time I met a French, and then I remember he complimented me that he thinks my French is quite good because I not only know how to speak French, but I also have this like rhythm when speaking French. I just pay a lot of attention to mimic how they speak this language during their daily life, and not just like textbook kind of things, just like reading a sentence and it's kind of dry and you don't have this emotion. So that's why I keep stress the importance of put emotions into the language when you're speaking, because it's gonna change a lot. It's gonna make your target language sounds much more natural when you speak it, and also the people who are listening to it can feel much more thing when you speak this language. So I think it does make a lot of difference. Another thing that I will try to do is that I will consciously pay a lot of attention on the road signs or advertisements that you see on the streets when you are walking, or also when you're taking public transportation. I think either. But I would also love to mention something that I really recommend: walk instead of taking the public transportation when you can in a new city. And it's also not only a good way to exercise, but also a great way to practice your French or your target language, because you can pay a lot of attention on a lot of the name of the restaurants, the road signs, advertisement, and so on. And I will sometimes just stop and read it out loud myself, and I don't usually look it up because I feel like it's like a lot of work to do when I have to stop on the streets to look it up. It's such a fun way to improve your target language, just like reading words you see on the streets. Is also a great way to tour around the city, because you just pay more attention on what is it in the city, all the signs and things like that. You might be wondering, do I get stressed when like for example when walking on the streets and when I heard someone speaking and I couldn't understand it, or when I read like road signs or like an advertisement and I have not understand not even a word? Do I get stressed? No, not really. I feel like it's just like a learning process. Eventually you will know what that word means. Even if I don't look it up at that moment, I don't get stressed because of that, because I think like learning language is really just like a long process. It's through this little bit of immersion, day to day, moments to moments, seconds to seconds. It's how you build up your language proficiency. It's really not like you study that for 10 hours a day, a week straight, and then you master that language. It's really just not like that. So just enjoyed it, just like I listen to people speaking, and then it's actually really fun secretly like listen to what they're talking about. When you are in that country traveling, you gotta grab this chance. Of course you can also do a lot in your home country learning that language, but it's just like different kind of immersion. If you have this chance to actually travel in France and you're practicing your French, then just grab this chance. Another thing that I found, which is a great way to practice listening in French, is also to intentionally go to places where people gather together. So you can just pretend that you are taking a break. Well, you are actually taking a break. I mean, just like sit there and secretly listen to what they are talking about so that you get yourself more chances, opportunities to practice listening in French, which I also find a really great way. And I mean, you can also take a break at the same time. So, I mean, it's like killing two birds with one stone. So, why not?
Oui, chacun fait ce qu'il veut, voilà.
Ah non, mais juste les bras.
Oui, non, mais c'est.
C'est pour faire plaisir à ton mec.
Oui, mais au-delà de faire plaisir à ton mec, si ta meuf elle a dit ouais, tu veux pas.
Moi, ça me fait pas répondre.
Bah, toi, t'es contrepartie, hein.
Moi, ça me rapproche. Ah ouais,
Ah bah non, moi je parle de principe, c'est là que.
Yeah, so just like that, I often just like when I want to take a rest, or even if I don't want to take a rest, when I notice like people gathering there, I just like sit down and then just like stay there for a while, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and listen to them talking. Also, another way that I think is such a great way to also improve your French is to actually just go to like a cafe, and especially when you find a seat in the terrace, like usually there are a lot of people and like all the seats are so close to each other, and it's just such a perfect place to listen secretly to what people around you are talking, which is also gonna be a great listening practices. But I don't do that often because first of all, I don't really want to spend money, you know, ordering something, and second, you know, I don't necessarily want to drink something. I always like just bring my own water. So I think that's gonna be a great way. So I do that from time to time, but not like that often.
Enfin, moi j'adore les nouvelles, mais je sais qu'il y a plein de gens qui ont du mal parce que justement, ouais, il a besoin d'un peu plus de temps pour entrer dedans, dans l'ambiance, etc. Et en fait, là, c'était hyper efficace, quoi. Vraiment, ça m'avait vachement perturbé, mais en bien, je crois. Alors, les éditions de Orange, comme ça j'ai vu, là, je pourrais voir les nouveautés. Est-ce que vous avez un système de nouveautés?
On est en train de mettre en place des nouveautés, mais en fait, on a aussi tout un.
And I forgot to mention that supermarket is also a very great place to bring your vocabulary to the next level because you have so many signs and with so many like vegetables and just all those products. So I always try to learn some new words from looking at those products' name, which is also a very nice way to practice your French.
Préparation à base de viande, haché de porc. Ingrédients, conseils de préparation, information nutritionnelle.
So I'm always like this. I just like randomly read any sentences or words that I saw in the supermarket. Again, no stress. You don't have to learn all the words in the supermarket or every product that you saw, but you just like pick up words randomly and just read it out loud in your mind or actually out loud. And that's it. That's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope these tips are useful and maybe you can try it out when you have the opportunity, and I'll see you again in the next video.